What's up, everybody? It's your boy King Crowder, checking back in with another edition of history that we do not know, that we all should add into our memory bank. Today's lesson, we will go over a gentleman that has had more ramifications and effect on us in our current time that most people do not know about. This gentleman's name is Nathan Bedford Forrest. Nathan Bedford Forrest was a Confederate general during the American Civil War. He was actually the first ever Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. This gentleman was born in Bedford County, Tennessee, and also died in Memphis, Tennessee. The reason why we should know about this gentleman so much because his ideology and philosophy is still so prevalent. Number one, his ideology to show no remorse towards Black Americans is strong. The reason why Nathan was given this title for show no remorse, show no compassion was because his Fort Pillow situation when he was actually being critiqued by his own fellow soldiers in the Confederate Army. Fort Pillow was a Union Army base and Black Americans were there. These Black Americans agreed to surrender because they knew that they could not win against the Confederate soldiers that ambushed them. These soldiers surrendered and agreed to be taken, prisoners in the Confederate Army. Nathan Bedford went against the typical American ideology and programs. He believed in killing everyone. So Nathan Bedford had these gentlemen surrender. But instead of giving them the right and the leeway to get taken as political prisoners, he massacred them all. He set medical hurt patients on fire and even Blacks sleeping in the bed. He faced criticism all throughout the United States by this horrendous act that he did. I'm just surprised at how hideous it was. We see that philosophy still translated to this day. Show no mercy, show no remorse. Do what you want, how you want. The white supremacists, that kind of white ideology and racist mindset, you see it. You saw it in the Nazis. You see it in this part in time. The other thing that you see that Nathan Bedford's ideology was, he led the movement after the Civil War is done for the modern day Jim Crow. Remember, when that situation after the Civil War was done, integration was supposed to happen, and we're all supposed to be kumbaya. Nathan Bedford's ideology began to say, no, we will never be equal to Black Americans in this time, nor will we ever submit and say they are my brethren. So what he did was that he the one that started that campaign of we got to be segregated, the segregationist movement, along with the Ku Klux Klan still attacking Blacks in the South. Nathan Bedford philosophy was start to be implemented by those white sharecroppers who lost the war of the Civil War. That ideology and mindset began to still go prevalent. The third thing that you saw that that Nathan Bedford did that we still see controversial to this day was the monuments of Confederate soldiers throughout the South. There was actually a statue of Nathan Bedford south of Nashville, Tennessee. Let me get this correct. A Ku Klux Klan wizard, a treasonous act soldier, and a segregationist had a statue in Nashville, Tennessee. His statue was actually controversial to remove at the time. The one thing that was so interesting throughout this subject and what we learned from it was that there was actually a debate of people who said, we don't want to remove that because his historical context to America is still prevalent. We did not provide the full context to say, who cares about his relevancy? He was a horrible person. He had a horrible philosophy, and he was a part of American history that needs to be broken. One quote that I read while studying my research of something is that if the spirit of something is not broken, it festers. That spirit of racism still festers around because we haven't hit it at its core in dismantling that issue. The summary of me about Nathan Bedford and why he is still prevalent to this day was because even back in 2020, when we had all the monuments and debates coming down, you still begin to see that racism feather among some whites in this country who had an issue with some of the statues of horrible Americans being removed. We cannot say that this person needs to be removed because they had some type of assault and violence, and the other individual is okay because he did something that I approve of. If we're going to be a just and balanced society, the same standards must be upheld no matter the time period or when this situation will happen. From my point of view, just speaking for me, until we deal with those direct issues that the ideology and philosophy that Nathan Bedford had almost 200 years ago, it's still been spreading across America. Until we have those issues being legit head on when these hate crimes or hate situation happens, we will not be able to push forward or go past these situations. All Black Americans must know about the Nathan Bedford and his philosophy because we still see it to this day. Believe it or not, we see it all the time. Some is subtle, some are microaggressions, and some is just a philosophy we see around. I want to thank y'all for checking in to learn about this brief history lesson about a gentleman that we all should know about. I'll have some links below so you can read more about him and understand and do your research on your own. But this historical figure really shaped us to this day, all right, with the white philosophy and ideology. This is King Crowder checking out. Peace.